Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for tuning in. It's my great honor and pleasure to welcome Jonathan Reinhardt from Arizona, who has just contributed the latest book in the book series, New Language Learning and Teaching Environments. This is one of them, but there's about 10 more, and the latest installment is looking very promising indeed. So, John, first of all, welcome, and tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. I am an associate professor here at the University of Arizona in Tucson of English Applied Linguistics and Second Language Acquisition and Teaching. So I work with master's students who are studying TESOL or foreign language teaching, and then PhD students. My research interests are technology enhanced language learning, gameful, game enhanced, game based language teaching and learning, social media and language teaching and learning, and I teach courses on these subjects.
And your book is on those subjects as well, isn't it? So tell us a little bit about what it's all about. What are you covering?
Yeah, so the book is called Gameful Second and Foreign Language Teaching and Learning, and basically it's sort of as a student I was explaining the book to said, sort of a one-stop shop in thinking about how to approach digital games for language teaching and learning. If you want to use games in the classroom as a teacher, if you want to think about how you might design a game, if you want to start exploring the research and researching language learning and teaching in with digital games, this is sort of a book that provides a guide to some theory, some of the research that's been out there, and practice, sort of as an introductory but a rather thorough text on the practice.
Excellent. And I think some listeners might be hearing the word gameful, and it might be new to some of them. So can you briefly tell us what that's all about?
Sure. So the idea of gameful, well, first of all, the field sometimes calls itself digital game-based language learning, but one thing that I've worked on with Professor Julie Sykes at Oregon is the idea that the term game-based sometimes might confuse people to mean creating a game for language learning. But we have made the argument that it also means adapting a commercial off-the-shelf game, a non-educational game, what we call vernacular game, for language teaching purposes. It can also mean to inform or infuse our teaching with principles that come from game design or game theory, which some people have called, or they turn into what's called gamification. People might be familiar with that. But the term gameful is meant as an overarching term that actually refers more to an attitude or a disposition towards thinking about what games are and how they have potential application in the classroom. So, a gameful approach towards learning might be seeing things that could be a game in our teaching, in our learning experiences, and therefore might take advantage or leverage those processes or those dynamics for our learning benefit. And I use the term as an overarching term for all of these different areas, but it really the main argument that I make in the book is that without this kind of this attitude or this disposition or this willingness to see the gameful in everyday activities, especially in learning, then games aren't going to be successful in the classroom, no matter how we build them into it. So.
Great, yeah, and I think yours is definitely one of the first, maybe the first book on the market that takes that approach, but also that is quite this comprehensive, as you say, that deals with teaching and learning and research and the whole range of different options. So, looking ahead, say 2, 3, 4 years into the future, what will have happened with your book? What impact will it have had that will make you say, yeah, that was a successful project?
Well, wow, that's a big question. I haven't really thought about it, but I think, I really want to see this field take off, and you yourself are a key scholar in the area. There are a few of us around, and every time I go to a conference, I see just a few more here and there, people talking about it. But one of the ideas and one of the reasons I wanted to put the book together this way was to give it a bit of legitimacy in the eyes of people in foreign language education and applied linguistics, as thinking, oh, this is a legitimate area. This is something we should be taking seriously. Not to be too ironic about it, but sometimes it's hard for people to take games and play seriously. So if I see it as becoming sort of a cornerstone or something that kind of instigates people to really start, exploring further into this field, I think it'll be successful. I mean, personally, I'm thinking already of ways that I would like to improve it. It's just going to press now, but I already see how it could even go in new directions. It's opening up a lot in my own research and thought about the area.
That's the author's curse. We're never done. As soon as you hand in the manuscript, you find a comma missing or some other small issue, and then you start thinking about all the other things you could have done or should have done. Finally, you're off to a good start to achieve that that hope that you just described. You've got a couple of great endorsements. Can you just briefly tell us who read the book and
Well, I got a endorsement from my colleague and friend Julie Sykes, who I have co-authored quite a bit with. Julie Sykes and I wrote a book that actually, this was 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it was about using games in language teaching and learning, but it didn't really go too much into the research, into the theory aspect of it. It's an excellent book. It's a great place to start for people. But she wrote me a nice endorsement. I got one from Mark Warschauer, who's one of my heroes in the field, who's done so much to really sort of establish a sort of a socio-cognitive understanding of language learning and teaching. And then I got a great one from Jim G as well, who wrote, I think, a real classic in the field of educational gaming. What video games have to teach us about language and literacy, and he wrote me a wonderful endorsement, and he encourages everybody, not just people interested in language teaching and learning, but in just gaming and learning in general, to give it a look. So thank you, Professor G. That was really nice.
Yeah. Well, how can the book not be a success with those glowing?
You never know.
Thank you, Jonathan, so much again for contributing the book to the series and for this short interview. And we'll look forward to the next book.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Aya.
Thank you.
All right.